Subaru Natsuki was just an ordinary guy in Japan, living a regular life. But everything changed one night when he went out to grab some groceries. After buying what he needed, he stepped outside, feeling like something strange was happening around him. Ignoring it, he started crossing the street, but suddenly his eyes began to itch. When he opened them again, he wasn't in Japan anymore. Subaru found himself in a bright, medieval-looking town filled with people wearing old-fashioned clothes. Confused but curious, he wandered around, taking in the sights. As he stood by a fountain, the reality hit him. He had somehow been transported to another world. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a girl darted across rooftops, clutching something shiny and important. She was clearly on the run, but Subaru had no idea his fate would soon intertwine with hers. Excited by the possibilities, Subaru thought he might have superpowers, like magic since he'd been transported to a new world. But after several embarrassing attempts to use magic, it became clear he had none. Frustrated and broke, Subaru tried to buy food using his old-world money, but got laughed out of a fruit stall. Everyone in the city ignored him, and after a while, he found himself sitting in an alley, feeling defeated. While sulking, Subaru noticed 3 shady guys approach him. They threatened to rob him. Just as things were about to get worse, the girl from the rooftops zipped by, greeting the muggers like old friends before vanishing. Subaru, hoping for some hidden strength, tried to fight back but got beaten up badly. Right before he passed out, a beautiful woman with silver hair appeared. She had a talking cat-like spirit with her and demanded to know about an important heirloom that had been stolen. The woman used her magic to drive off the muggers and save Subaru, but she wasn't exactly friendly. After some questioning, Subaru told her about the girl he saw running across the rooftops earlier. The woman thanked him and was about to leave when Subaru insisted on tagging along to help her find her stolen heirloom. She reluctantly agreed. Over time, Subaru and the woman, who introduced herself as Satella, teamed up to search for clues about the thief. Along the way, they helped a lost little girl find her mother and had a heartfelt conversation about Satella's mixed heritage as a half-elf. Despite her cold exterior, Subaru couldn't help but compliment her beauty, which left her flustered. Their search led them to the slums, where they found the thief, a young girl named Felt, who was trying to sell the stolen heirloom to an assassin named Elsa. When negotiations went sideways, Elsa revealed her deadly skills, attacking everyone in the room. The situation spiraled out of control, and Subaru was fatally wounded. When Subaru opened his eyes again, he was standing in front of the same fruit stall from earlier, completely unharmed. Confused and panicked, he realized he had somehow gone back in time to before everything went wrong. Determined to prevent the tragedy from happening again, Subaru retraced his steps and tried to change the outcome. This time, Subaru warned Satella about the danger, avoided the muggers, and even convinced a powerful knight named Reinhard to help. Together, they confronted Elsa, but even with everyone working together, the fight was intense. Subaru, knowing he wasn't strong enough to win, made a desperate move to protect his friends. Though he was gravely injured, his bravery inspired Reinhard to step in and save the day. Reinhard explains he was summoned by Felt after finding her running through the empty streets. He asks Elsa to surrender peacefully, but she refuses with a chilling smile. Reinhard chuckles and tells Subaru to stay near Amelia, who is busy healing the injured old man, Ram. Subaru talks briefly with Amelia while Reinhard draws a rusted sword to face Elsa. Despite using an old blade, Reinhard easily breaks her weapon and keeps up the pressure. Once Amelia finishes healing Ram, Subaru signals Reinhard to stop holding back. Smiling, Reinhard unleashes a massive magical attack, blowing the area apart and leaving Elsa defeated, or so they thought. Subaru breathes a sigh of relief, happy he won't need to repeat this day through his mysterious restart ability. Just then, Elsa reappears, trying to ambush Amelia. Subaru quickly grabs a wooden baton and blocks the attack, saving her just in time. Elsa, realizing she's failed, retreats, but promises she'll return. After things calm down, she tells him her name is Amelia. She thanks him for his bravery and offers a handshake, which he accepts. Reinhard, meanwhile, picks up the broken weapon Subaru used to block Elsa's attack and notices it was cut cleanly in half. Subaru suddenly realizes he's been injured and collapses unconscious. Subaru wakes up in Emilia's mansion, surprised that his wounds are completely healed. Wandering through the looping hallways, he stumbles into a room where a girl who looks like a child is reading books. Mistaking her for an ordinary kid, Subaru makes a few rude comments. This girl, Beatrice, punishes him by draining his energy and tossing him out. Later, Subaru overhears two maids gossiping about him and realizes they don't think much of him. Before he can respond, Emilia enters to check on him. Subaru joins her in the yard for a morning walk, where Puck, her magical companion, appears. Subaru plays with Puck, which makes Emilia smile and call him weird. The maids soon arrive, announcing the return of Roswaal, the mansion's lord. At breakfast, Roswaal explains the kingdom is without a king due to a recent epidemic. Subaru worries he might somehow be involved, but is reassured by Roswaal that he's not suspected of anything. Emilia reveals her royal insignia, which proves her eligibility to become the next ruler. Wanting to stay useful, Subaru asks to be hired as a butler. The maids measure him for a uniform and show him around the mansion. Though he struggles with basic chores, Subaru is determined to prove himself. Over the next few days, Subaru bonds with the maids, especially Rem, despite her sharp tongue. He also continues trying to get closer to Emilia, even asking her on a date. Though hesitant at first, Emilia agrees after some convincing, leaving Subaru thrilled. But Subaru's happiness is short-lived. One night he feels a chill and collapses, poisoned by an unknown attacker. An assassin appears and finishes him off, sending Subaru back to his starting point, alive, but once again at the beginning of this cycle. Determined to uncover the truth, Subaru takes a new approach. Instead of working as a butler, he asks to stay as a guest to observe the mansion's residents. He investigates everyone, including Beatrice, who eventually reveals that Subaru is cursed. Someone in the mansion, or nearby, has been draining his life force, causing his repeated deaths. The next day, Subaru packed his things to leave the mansion. Emilia, worried about his safety, begged him to stay, but Subaru had already made up his mind. He reassured her he would be fine and said his goodbyes. As Subaru walked into the forest, he glanced back at Emilia's room. He pulled out a shiny kitchen knife and stared at it, as if waiting for something to happen. By evening, an assassin appeared, forcing Subaru to run for his life. Cornered on a cliff, Subaru prepared to fight, only to realize his attacker was none other than Rem. Rem showed no remorse, accusing Subaru of plotting against Emilia. Desperate, Subaru used his phone to blind her with its light and ran. But before he could get far, Rem injured his leg, immobilizing him. She demanded the truth, but Subaru had none to give. In frustration, she accused him of smelling like the witch, which disgusted her. Subaru cried, begging for mercy, but Rem ignored his pleas and ended his life. Subaru woke up in bed terrified to find Rem and Ram nearby. Confused, he said nothing until Emilia arrived. When she did, he warned her to stay away from him, fearing the curse would harm her too. Subaru tried to explain everything to Emilia, but a dark presence stopped him. A shadowy hand gripped his heart, warning him not to speak of his time loop. Subaru decided to isolate himself instead. That night, Subaru dreamed of his horrific encounter with Rem, but woke up feeling comforted by Betty's protective magic. The next morning, he helped Betty in her library but grew restless and wandered outside. He found Emilia, who asked him to follow her. They ended up in a room where Ram was crying over Rem's lifeless body. Ram accused Subaru of being involved, but Betty intervened before things escalated. Overwhelmed by guilt and desperation, Subaru decided to die again in hopes of resetting the timeline. He found a cliff, but hesitated, too scared to jump. Betty eventually found him and promised to help him. This gave Subaru the courage to make the ultimate sacrifice. He thanked everyone for their kindness and leaped off the cliff, ending his life once more. Subaru woke up again, back in bed with Ram and Rem. He smiled, relieved to see them alive. Although they were suspicious of his strange behavior, Subaru resolved to take a new approach. Determined to earn their trust, Subaru asked Roswaal for work around the mansion. By helping others, he hoped to avoid suspicion. During one of his tasks, he learned that his magical attribute was Shadow, a rare and powerful ability. This discovery excited him, but it also came with risks. One day, while visiting the village with Rem and Ram, Subaru encountered a cursed dog that bit him. Betty later revealed that the bite had placed a curse on him, turning him into a target for witch fiends. Realizing the danger, Subaru worked tirelessly to protect the village. When children started disappearing, he and Rem ventured into the forest to investigate. They found the kids weakened and marked with curses. Subaru vowed to save them, no matter the cost. As they fought off cursed dogs, Subaru witnessed Rem's transformation into a berserker. She lost control, attacking everything in sight. Subaru risked his life to stop her, bringing her back to her senses. The battle left Subaru gravely injured, but he survived. Back at the village, he began piecing together the mystery of the curse. In the demon clan, twins were considered taboo. Ram, the elder of the clan, decided the newborn twins should be killed to uphold tradition. Ram, the stronger of the two sisters, used her immense powers to stop them. Her display of strength left the elders in awe, and the twins were allowed to live. As the years passed, Ram and her sister Rem grew into beautiful young girls. Ram was a prodigy, adored by the villagers for her skills and charm. Meanwhile, Rem struggled to find her place, often feeling like she was living in her sister's shadow. Even their mother seemed to favor Ram, leaving Rem to push herself harder to gain approval. Despite the favoritism, Ram understood her sister's pain. She often helped Rem and encouraged her to keep trying. One day, Rem decided to cook a special meal for the family to prove her worth. She ventured into the forest to gather ingredients, but got caught in a sudden storm. A falling tree nearly crushed her, but Ram saved her just in time. Back home, after dinner, their mother mildly scolded Rem for troubling Ram again. That night, Rem had a nightmare about being labeled a failure by the villagers. She ran to a shed to hide, but Ram found her, comforted her, and reminded her that she was loved. Life continued peacefully until one fateful night. Rem woke up to find Ram burning down their village, including their own home. Confused and terrified, Rem watched as her sister's immense power consumed everything. As Ram approached Rem to protect her, a villager attacked Ram from behind and severed her horn, the source of her power. With her horn gone, Ram was left powerless. From that day forward, Rem blamed herself for her sister's loss. She dedicated her life to supporting Ram, cleaning, fighting, and ensuring Ram was safe and cared for. Her guilt drove her to push herself to the limit, hoping to atone for what had happened. One day, Rem, Ram, and a newcomer named Subaru were fleeing from a dangerous pack of creatures. They hid in the forest, but Rem couldn't hold back her feelings of self-doubt. She asked Subaru why he risked his life to save someone as worthless as her. Subaru, frustrated by her negativity, headbutted her and told her to stop thinking so poorly of herself. He reminded her she wasn't just Ram's replacement. She was her own person and deserved to be saved. Subaru later devised a risky plan to distract the creatures so the sisters could escape. He faced the pack's leader, using his shadow powers to blind the beast and injure it. Just as he was about to be defeated, their master Roswaal arrived and saved him. Rem and Ram rushed back to thank Roswaal and Subaru for their bravery. Later, Subaru woke up in bed, with Rem sitting beside him. She apologized for doubting herself and thanked him for everything he had done. Subaru reassured her, listing all the reasons she was special. For the first time, Rem cried openly, feeling a weight lifted off her shoulders. She smiled, a genuine, beautiful smile that showed she was finally starting to heal. The next day, Subaru joined Amelia, another close ally, for a visit to the capital. Their mission was to attend the royal selection, where Amelia was a candidate to become the next queen. As the royal selection progressed, Subaru's loyalty to Amelia was tested. Despite his clumsy efforts and countless missteps, he proved his determination to protect her and support her dreams. Along the way, he grew closer to everyone around him. Subaru wakes up, determined to save Amelia. He tells Crush and Rem to hurry up so they can deal with the people threatening the nation. but Crush stops him, explaining that she had made a contract with Amelia to protect him. She warns him that if he acts recklessly, she'll nullify the contract and might even declare war on Amelia. Frustrated, Subaru declares he'll save Amelia with or without Crush's help. Felix, furious at Subaru's arrogance, reminds him just how powerless he is. Ignoring Felix's harsh words, Subaru rushes to Wilhelm and borrows a dragon carriage. Subaru and Rem begin their journey back to Amelia's mansion. By nightfall, the dragon grows tired, and they stop at an inn. Late that night, Rem visits Subaru's room. She thanks him for being there for her, even when she was cruel. She hugs him and uses her healing magic to help him relax. Subaru falls into a deep sleep. The next morning, Subaru wakes up late to find Rem gone. She left a letter explaining that she went ahead to handle the situation at the mansion alone. Enraged, Subaru spends his last gold coin hiring a faster dragon carriage to catch up. Otto, the driver, takes him deep into the forest, but the dragon stops, terrified to go any further. Subaru ventures into the forest alone and encounters strange individuals in occult robes. They briefly surround him but vanish just as quickly. He pushes on, reaching Amelia's town by morning. He's horrified to find the town in ruins, reeking of death. As a dreadful sense of déjà vu hits him, Subaru finds Rem's lifeless body on the mansion lawn. Shaken, he stumbles into the storage unit and finds it filled with corpses. Overcome with nausea, he vomits and continues searching the mansion. Inside, he finds Ram and Petra among the dead. Desperate to find Amelia, he searches every room until he discovers a secret icy chamber. The intense cold freezes his hands as he tries to open the door. Suddenly, the occult figures appear, and the curse of the room takes hold. Subaru freezes to death. He revives again at the merchant's shop, traumatized. Seeing Rem alive, he clings to her tightly, but his mind begins to unravel. He becomes a lifeless shell. Concerned, Ram and Crush try to help, but nothing works. Rem decides to care for Subaru herself. They travel toward the mansion, but their carriage is ambushed by the occult group. Rem unleashes her demon powers to protect Subaru, but she's overwhelmed in an explosion. Subaru loses consciousness and wakes up in a cave, where the cult leader Kiti mocks him. Kiti rants about Subaru's failures and blames him for everything. When Subaru tries to speak, Kiti ridicules him, pushing him to his breaking point. Suddenly, Rem arrives, fighting off guards to protect him. However, Kati overpowers her, using dark magic to twist her limbs. Seeing Rem in agony, Subaru snaps. Fueled by rage, he breaks free and holds Rem as she whispers her final words. Survive. Subaru leaves the cave, carrying her lifeless body. As he nears the mansion, he curses the witch responsible for his suffering. At the mansion, a giant cat-like shadow appears, telling Subaru to sleep alongside her daughter. In an instant, Subaru is killed again, his head rolling off his body. Reviving once more at the merchant's shop, Subaru pretends to act normal. He begins plotting revenge. With Rem by his side, he asks Crush for help in defeating the cult. Crush refuses, explaining that helping Amelia's domain would ruin her royal candidacy. Subaru begs, but Crush remains firm, unwilling to risk her position. Determined, Subaru seeks help elsewhere. He visits Priscilla, who agrees to help only if Subaru humiliates himself by licking her feet. Just as he's about to do it, she kicks him out, mocking him. Subaru's next attempt at gaining support ends in betrayal when another royal candidate, Al, sets him up. Realizing the nobles won't help, Subaru decides to act on his own. He rents another carriage and begins evacuating Amelia's domain. On the way, Subaru's group is attacked by the white whale, a massive, terrifying beast. During the chaos, Rem sacrifices herself to save Subaru and the others. Subaru is devastated when Otto reveals he can't even remember who Rem is, proof of the whale's power. Left alone, Subaru confronts the whale, but barely escapes with his life. He presses forward to Amelia's domain, exhausted but determined. By morning, he arrives at the mansion, ready to face whatever awaits him. Subaru collapses again and wakes up. At first, he thinks he's close to Rem, so he hugs her tightly, but it turns out to be Ram. Disappointed, Subaru pulls away. Ram insults him and warns him not to touch her again. Feeling crushed, Subaru tells Ram about Rem and how she vanished. Shockingly, Ram doesn't even remember her sister. Subaru begins to wonder if this is because of the white whale's attack. Frustrated, he storms into Rem's room only to find it completely empty, like she never existed. His heart sinks even deeper as he questions his reality. Later, Subaru finds Amelia in her room, writing. He barges in, desperate, and tries to convince her to leave the mansion for her safety. Amelia, confused, asks him to explain, but Subaru can't bring himself to tell her the truth about his return-by-death curse. When he tries, the witch's miasma strikes Amelia instead. She collapses, bleeding, and dies in front of him. Subaru screams in despair, staying frozen in shock until Beatrice arrives. She removes Puck from Amelia's crystal and asks Subaru what he wants. He begs her to end his life. Instead, Beatrice opens a portal and tosses him into it, forcing him to face his pain elsewhere. Subaru lands in a forest, surrounded by the witch's cult. Beetlejuice appears, taunting Subaru and trying to harm Amelia's lifeless body. Subaru fights back with everything he has, screaming for help. Just then, Puck shows up, growing to a massive size to fight Beetlejuice. After a fierce battle, Puck freezes Beetlejuice to death but turns to Subaru with grim news. Subaru must die now that Amelia is gone. Puck freezes Subaru completely, leaving him to die in icy agony. Just before his life fades, Subaru laughs bitterly, and the curse resets time. Subaru wakes up in the town square, holding Rem. This time, he feels broken and tired of it all. He takes Rem to a quiet balcony and asks her to run away with him far from their troubles. Rem is surprised and asks why. Subaru admits he's done trying to save everyone. He's failed too many times and just wants to disappear. Rem listens quietly, then tells Subaru she loves him. She won't leave him behind, even if he's given up on himself. Subaru, however, confesses his heart belongs to Amelia. Despite her heartbreak, Rem stays calm and promises to stand by his side no matter what. Subaru is deeply moved, realizing that even in his darkest moments, Rem sees him as a hero. Her unwavering faith inspires Subaru to try again. Together, they plan to make a deal with Crush, offering information about the white whale's location in exchange for her help. Subaru uses his cell phone, claiming it's a magical device that can predict the whale's movements. Crush agrees, and Wilhelm, Crush's knight, is deeply grateful since the whale killed his wife years ago. The next day, Subaru joins Crush's army and chooses a land dragon to ride. The soldiers prepare for their mission, their spirits fired up by Crush's speech. As night falls, they camp under the massive flugel tree, waiting for the white whale to appear. When the whale finally shows itself, Subaru and Rem lead the charge, attacking its belly to draw its attention. The soldiers unleash their might, but the whale is stronger than they imagined. It fights back viciously, even splitting into 3 monstrous forms. The battle grows desperate as the whales release a deadly fog that erases people's memories of those it kills. Despite the chaos, Wilhelm fights fiercely, fueled by memories of his late wife. Subaru and Rem refuse to give up, even as their chances dwindle. Subaru rallies the soldiers, urging them to push through their fear. The beast keeps coming after him because of his witch smell, and Subaru spends most of the fight dodging its attacks. At one point, the other warriors jump in to help, giving Subaru time to figure out a plan. As Mimi and her brother Hao tear open the whale's stomach, Wilhelm, covered in injuries, drags himself out and collapses. Subaru and Crush run to check on him, but Wilhelm is alive and determined. Subaru and Crush put the pieces together. The real white whale is still flying above, while its 2 weaker clones are fighting on the ground. Crush, fired up by this realization, bumps fists with Subaru and rallies her warriors. She tells them, if Subaru, the weakest of us, hasn't given up, then neither should you. Her words spark new energy in the troops as they prepare to fight. Meanwhile, Subaru and Rem focus on the real whale. Subaru hurls himself into the air to taunt the beast and lure it into a trap. As the whale chases him down, it doesn't realize it's falling right where they want it. Subaru shouts one last insult, drawing it closer before Rem catches him mid-air and fires a powerful magic attack straight into the beast's mouth. The whale crashes to the ground. Crush's team follows up with a massive attack, toppling the ancient flugel tree onto the beast. It's finally pinned. In its last moments, Wilhelm steps forward. With memories of his late wife fueling his resolve, he slashes the whale relentlessly. In a quiet, heartbreaking rage, he calls out his wife's name, delivering the final blow and ending the battle. The warriors cheer, declaring victory over the white whale after 400 years of terror. Subaru stands apart, watching the sun rise, reflecting on what they've accomplished. Krush approaches him, thanking him for his courage and offering him a place by her side as an advisor. Subaru, blushing, politely declines, explaining that his heart belongs to Emilia and Rem. They shake hands, agreeing to honor their alliance. Before leaving, Wilhelm pledges his loyalty to Subaru, thanking him for helping fulfill his life's purpose. Krush also gifts Subaru half her soldiers as a sign of gratitude. Subaru accepts and returns to Rem, who's been worried sick about him. He thanks her for always supporting him and promises to stay by her side forever. Overcome with emotion, Rem hugs him tightly, tears streaming down her face. Later, Subaru meets with Ricardo and the rest of the soldiers to prepare for their next mission, taking down the witch's cult. However, there's an awkward reunion when Julius, the man who humiliated Subaru in the past, arrives leading some of the reinforcements. Subaru acts cold at first but eventually matures, laughing with Julius and setting their past differences aside. The team gathers for a meeting where Subaru shares what he's learned from his time leaps. Although some question his theories, he provides enough proof to convince them. On the road to Emilia's village, Subaru and Julius bond further, joking about their rivalry and forming a shaky friendship. At night, Emilia sits alone, worrying about the witch's cult and how the villagers refuse to take her warnings seriously. Meanwhile, Subaru sneaks into the cult's territory, taunting them until their leader, Pateljuice, appears. The madman accuses Subaru of being pride, one of the deadly sins, and attacks with his invisible hands. Subaru narrowly escapes with the help of Wilhelm, who slashes Pateljuice in half. Just when it seems over, Pateljuice's fingers, his followers, attack, leading to chaos. Subaru's team manages to eliminate them, but not without losses. Guilt-ridden, Subaru nearly gives up, but Wilhelm reminds him of his strength and duty. Encouraged, Subaru presses on. As they approach Emilia's village, Ram appears, thinking Subaru is an enemy. She traps them in an illusion, but Subaru snaps out of it with Julius's help. After clearing up the misunderstanding, Subaru convinces the skeptical villagers to evacuate, showing his newfound confidence. Finally, Subaru and his allies prepare for the ultimate showdown with the witch's cult, ready to protect Emilia and her people at all costs. Subaru finally makes up with Julius and heads back to find Felix, who's sitting in a carriage. They talk about the carriage owner, a clever merchant. Felix gets close to him and knocks him out, revealing he's actually a spy for the witch cult. But just as she discovers this, the spy smiles and blows himself up. Subaru and Felix survive, but the village is in chaos, with the witch cult everywhere, attacking and killing villagers. Wilhelm and the other warriors do their best to hold off the cultists, but it's not enough. During the battle, Wilhelm stabs one of the cult's fingers, but it blows up and takes him down with it. Luckily, Wilhelm isn't seriously hurt. A second finger shows up, causing even more destruction. Subaru, fed up with all the madness, shows Felix the gospel book he took from the witch cult. The finger unleashes more chaos, but Subaru leads it away from the village into the forest, where he traps it and lets the witch's fiends take care of it. When Subaru returns to the village, it's even worse. Furious, he prepares to take down the cultists. Just then, Emilia arrives to protect her village. Subaru wants to help, but Felix tells him to stay low. So Subaru watches as Emilia and Puck defeat the cultists. Meanwhile, the other warriors manage to take down the fingers and win the battle. But Subaru is still uneasy. He feels something strange happening inside him and knows the witch cult is about to possess him. Felix and Julius catch up, but Subaru is losing control. In desperation, Subaru begs Julius to kill him before Kati fully takes over. Julius hesitates, but then Subaru asks Felix to do it. Felix ends Subaru's life, and he returns to his last save point. Subaru wakes up in the past, where he and his group were planning to fight the witch cult. With the knowledge he gained from his previous life, Subaru makes a new plan. He tells everyone about Kati's power to possess people and how they can stop him by destroying the bodies Kati is using for his fingers. He warns them that he may be possessed again, so they need to be careful. The next morning, Emilia wakes up after a nightmare. Puck comforts her, and they talk about doing what she wants instead of trying to please others. Emilia changes her clothes and meets with Wilhelm and his group. Wilhelm tells her to evacuate the village before the cultists attack. At first, Emilia is reluctant, but eventually, Wilhelm and Ram convince her to let the villagers escape. Meanwhile, Subaru, disguised as someone else, warns Emilia of the approaching danger. Subaru and the others have already spoken to the villagers, so there's no issue with evacuation. Emilia heads to the village and sees the children playing. They flock around her, and Subaru encourages Emilia to connect with them. She opens up to the kids, which makes her feel better. Later, Subaru finds the spy he dealt with in his last life, preparing for an ambush. Subaru and the warriors track down Kati's location, but first, they finish evacuating the village. Once the villagers are safe, Subaru and his group head to confront Kati. Subaru distracts Kati with comforting words, then uses a magic mirror to reveal Felix's face. Subaru then leads the cultists into traps, where his people take them down. As the fight continues, Subaru and Julius face Kati together. Subaru finally trusts Julius and asks him to finish Kati off. Kati tries his last desperate attack, but Julius uses a holy spell to defeat him. Just as Kati dies, he tries to transfer his consciousness into Subaru, but Subaru fights back. Kati is ultimately defeated, and Subaru picks up the gospel to return to the village. Back in the village, Subaru, Otto, and Felix find out that someone planted firestones on Emilia's carriage. Subaru and Otto rush to stop the explosion, with Otto using his special ability to find the fastest route. However, they're soon pursued by Kati, who has transformed into a monster. As they near the carriage, Kati attacks, but Subaru uses one of Julius's magic orbs to burn Kati's face, and then throws the gospel at him. Kati struggles but dies shortly after. Subaru finds Emilia's carriage and promises to save her. He takes the firestones and places them on a rock near the tree, setting them off in an explosion. Unfortunately, Subaru doesn't escape in time and gets caught in the blast. Emilia finds him unconscious and rushes to him, putting his head on her lap. When Subaru wakes up, he's in Emilia's lap, thinking he's dreaming. Emilia reassures him that he's okay. Subaru asks about the fight, and Emilia tells him the witch cult is gone. She's shocked to see Subaru fighting with Julius, but Subaru says he's grown stronger. Emilia thanks Subaru for always saving her and asks why he does it. Subaru smiles and tells her it's because he loves her. Emilia, moved, tears up and holds Subaru's hand, promising to love him forever. Subaru vows to stay by her side no matter what.